Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Take. I'm Carrie Champion. We're in studio, you and I, Skip Bayless. But on this Wednesday morning, our partner, Stephen A. Smith, is in New York City. How are you, Stephen A.?
What's up? Good morning. How y'all doing?
I'm good.
I'm beyond good. I can't wait for the show because Stephen A. Smith, I think that March Madness started a little early this year thanks to the National Football League. What do you think?
That would be true. Yeah. That would be true. And I'm excited about it. I'm loving it.
Yeah,
I'm loving it.
All right. Well, speaking of March Madness, coming up on the show today, Christian Laettner is here to discuss the latest 30 for 30 documenting his college basketball years. You helped me.
I know.
We didn't even plan it.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. Plus, Manny Pacquiao, live from Los Angeles. That is the man Skip says will knock out Money Mayweather, Stephen A.
Well, wait. Stephen A. is the man who's laughing at Pacquiao's chances. So we wonder today, will Stephen A. laugh in the face of Manny Pacquiao?
He won't do it.
I'm sorry. I believe I already did when he was here.
Yeah.
When he was
here.
And he laughed right back at me when he took off his shades.
Yeah.
Okay.
His disrespectful self.
Okay.
I love him though.
Well, he will be on
He just
the
ain't one
show.
that made
Watch
second.
him kiss up to him today,
Oh my God! Here we go. It's already
That
started,
would be
folks.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll save it for the second hour of the show. But first, again, Skip mentioned March Madness. It was a busy day in the NFL with so many free agency moves. Let's talk about the biggest of them all. Revis returns home 2 years after they parted ways in New York City. The Jets and Darrelle Revis are together again. The Jets pulled off one of the biggest moves of still a very young offseason, taking the All-Pro cornerback away from the New England Patriots Tuesday night. The contract is for 5 years, $70 million, which includes $39 million fully guaranteed, $33 in the first 2 years. Revis tweeted the following: I want to thank the Pats and Pats Nation for an unbelievable year. New York, I'm coming home. Hashtag Revis Island, hashtag Jet Nation. Stephen A., $84 million in his career so far. This contract will obviously make him one of the highest paid cornerbacks in NFL history. Can you blame him for taking the money, is the question.
Not even a little bit. He did the right thing for himself. Obviously, when you talk about championships, you're talking about the New England Patriots, and I definitely understand that. But we have to remember, this is a man that never wanted to leave New York to begin with. Throughout the numerous times where it seemed to be a tumultuous time in terms of negotiation with the New York Jets, at no time did he ask to be traded. When he was shipped out of town and basically sent to Tampa, he didn't ask for that. Woody Johnson decided to do that because he viewed him as a mercenary. When ultimately Tampa Bay dropped him because they didn't want to pay him another $16 million, he was willing to come back to the New York Jets. Woody Johnson did not want to step up. Rex Ryan wanted him to as head coach at the time, but Woody Johnson did not want that. So he goes to New England, he accepts less, he wins a Super Bowl championship, and now he has an opportunity to come back to a franchise he never wanted to leave to begin with, to a city he never wanted to leave to begin with. And this is what it's all about right here. In the process of doing so, he also gets his money because nobody came close to offering him the guaranteed dollars that the New York Jets were willing to put on the table, along with the potential to make $70 million. That's what this all comes down to. I understand that obviously everybody wants these players to be about winning, but if the league is about making money where they're willing to charge somebody or try to charge somebody to perform at halftime during the Super Bowl, if the franchises are all about making money and the owners prove that to us every day, what is the matter with a player being about making the money, especially if it calls for him to make money going back to a place he never wanted to leave to begin with? Then we get into Todd Bowles and the GM McCagnon and what they're building together. You get Brandon Marshall, a #1 receiver, for a 5th round pick. Now Eric Decker is a legitimate #2 where he should have been in the first place. You still got Chris Ivory in the equation. You're talking about getting a quarterback to help out Geno Smith. We'll see how that pans out, but clearly there's been at least marginal improvement on the offensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball, you don't lose David Harris and let him get away to the Buffalo Bills and Rex Ryan. You still have Sheldon Richardson and Muhammad Wilkerson. And oh, by the way, now Milliner is not a #1. It's Revis who's a #1 who can tutor and school Milliner, not to mention the fact that the jury's still out as to whether or not they may turn around and get Antonio Cromartie to come back to New York too. I like what the Jets are doing. I like what this GM is doing. As inept as John Idzik, the former general manager, was for the New York Jets, at least he had the decency to leave them cap space, approximately $55 million in that regard. And to me, Bowles and McCagnon are doing what they're supposed to be doing with these dollars. I'm incredibly pleased with what I'm seeing from the New York Jets right now, and I tip my cap to them. They brought the man home. Revis is where he belongs. Congratulations to him, to the New York Jets, and the New York City.
Timeout. Yesterday, when I point blank asked you, Stephen A. Smith, what would you do if you were Darrelle Revis? You said you would stay in New England. Am I right about that?
Wait a minute. Yes, I did, but please stop trying to change the narrative.
Oh.
You asked me, what would I do? Then you asked me why. I said it depends on who you are, the situation you're in, and the money that's on the table, the money that's there to be made, juxtaposed to the money that you've made throughout your career. I answered the question. For me personally, if I pocketed that much money and New England made any kind of offer in the same ballpark, I'm going to stay with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots franchise.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that Revis made the wrong move by going back to the New York Jets and coming back to a place he never wanted to leave to begin with. What's the problem with that opinion? What's the problem with that?
Because in your heart of hearts, you know that Darrelle Revis took the money and ran back to the Jets. That's what it boiled down to. I boiled it down to salary versus legacy, and he chose straight salary. Now, I want to be very clear about what I'm about to say. I do not condemn Darrelle Revis for taking the money and running back to the Jets, who were so desperate for some sort of credibility that they offered this man, as he's nearly turning age 30. He turns 30 on July the 14th, is Darrelle Revis. They're offering $39 million guaranteed over the next 3 years. He got his ring. $39 million guaranteed, which might be the end of his career. He might play, 3 more years? That might be the end of him. I don't know. So I'm not going to condemn him for taking the money and running back to the Jets. But, Stephen A., I'm not going to give him all of this touchy-feely, warm and fuzzy, I'm coming home. You know and I know, when he left, the bad blood was spilled everywhere. The bridge felt burned to me. Rex Ryan is no longer there, the head coach he loved. Dennis Thurman, the coordinator he loved, and one of his closest friends in the world, is no longer there. So I'm sorry, I'm not buying into this I'm coming home sort of thing. You're coming back to $39 million guaranteed to a team that desperately needed to put you up on its marquee. God bless you both. I'm fine with that. Let me just finish. I want to be very clear. I know Darrelle Revis personally. I know him off the field. I like and respect him very much. But yesterday, I must admit publicly, I lost some respect for Darrelle Revis, the player. Just some respect. Because he walked away from Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and a chance, I don't know, to win 2 or 3 straight Super Bowls. I think this team is young enough that with Revis, and obviously Brandon Browner stayed and blah, 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 we got lots of variables here, but it was young enough and still poised and positioned enough with Brady having 2 more high-quality years left in him to maybe win 3 straight Super Bowls. I don't know. And instead, he goes back to a team that went 4-12 last year, a team that still does not have a starting franchise quarterback. A team that has a new, unproven head coach. I'm a big fan of Todd Bowles, but I have no idea how he will translate from defensive coordinator to head coach. And a team that I think best case next year is 8-8. And maybe best case the next year is 8-8. I'm not seeing this team leaps and bounds better until you tell me that the quarterback is not somebody named Geno Smith or Ryan Fitzpatrick. And there have been reports that maybe if the Texans cut Ryan Fitzpatrick, that Chan Gailey, the new coordinator, would love to have him back because they were together in Buffalo. Go ahead.
First of all, I agree with you about Geno Smith. Secondly, however, your opinion on this matter is utterly ridiculous because we're talking about the NFL. We're talking about a franchise and franchises and owners that are all about making their money. You're talking about a New England Patriots squad that repeatedly goes to one of the best players in the world and one of the best players ever in Tom Brady and repeatedly ask him to take pay cuts, restructure his deal, etc.
Maybe he volunteers to do that. Yeah, have you ever thought of that?
Maybe sometimes, but I doubt that that's all the time, as many times as he's done it. Then you look at a guy like Browner. You don't know if he's going to be back. He watched them sit there and say, Vince Wilfork, you can go out there, test the free agency market, go elsewhere, because we're moving on. You have individuals who are all about business staring in front of your face every day, and then you're going to sit there and actually have the temerity, the unmitigated gall to sit there and talk about how Darrelle Revis, you've lost a little bit of respect for him, the player. I'm sorry. Well, let me ask you a question. You'll be more fair in my mind when you tell me you've lost respect for coaches, GMs, and owners who do the same thing to these players. Then I'm listening. Until that time, I don't want to hear that nonsense. That's ridiculous. Darrelle Revis, and not only that, look at Miami. They've gotten better. Look at Buffalo. They've gotten better. Some would argue that the New England Patriots are weaker today. Now, clearly, you're going to still look at the New England Patriots as being the favorites because obviously they've dominated the AFC East for so many years. But in the end, if you're talking about going after them, you don't think losing Darrelle Revis makes them weaker, particularly when Darrelle Revis was on their squad? It's one thing not to get him. It's another thing to have had him, familiarize him with everything that you do, and then turn around and have to go against him. And I'm not sleeping on Todd Bowles. Just a few months ago, you talked about as great as you think Rex Ryan was, you felt that a dude like Bowles may very well have the potential to be Rex Part 2. So I'm saying, let's wait. Listen, I'm just telling you what you said.
You're putting words in my mouth there. I am a Todd Bowles fan, but I don't know about that.
No. I said you said maybe, because you always qualify. Nobody qualifies quite like Skip Bayless. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that's what you did. Please, that's what you said. And that's the bottom line. So I'm looking at it like, wait a minute. New York's defense could potentially be elite.
You turned into a Jets fan today. I've never seen anything like this before. You're a Jets cheerleader. We need to get you green and white.
Hey, pom-poms?
Whatever. Rex didn't get David Harris, and New England didn't keep Darrelle Revis. And you might end up getting Antonio Cromartie. I don't have a problem with this.
Go Jets,
at all.
Okay, are you picking the Jets to win the AFC East next year? I need to know.
No.
I need to know. Well, what are they next year? Are they better than 8-8? What do you got? 12-4?
Skip. First of all, you can never. Anybody would be stupid to elevate them above 8-8 unless you know they're gonna get a quarterback, because a quarterback's gonna win and lose games for you.
Thank you.
But what I'm saying to you is this: to sit here and to say, well, he should have stayed with New England, that's one thing. To sit here and use words like you've lost respect for him and stuff like that, when you look at these other teams, and see, that's all about the business. And again, diametrically opposed. And this is the kind of stuff that makes a whole bunch of folks uncomfortable with things that I say, because I'm looking at it, these players, all right, it's about dollar. Why can't it be about business for them when it's about business for everybody else?
It has been
Why can't that happen?
I'm going to explain why. It has been about nothing but business for Darrelle Revis for 9 years. I said yesterday, these words actually came out of my mouth on this show. You were actually sitting there in person instead of virtual. And I said to you across this table, Darrelle Revis has proven to be, over time, the most courageous and astute businessman of any NFL player I have ever been around before. He has played the market perfectly because he has bet on himself from year to year to year. He has now made $85.2 million over 9 years. He finally broke through just before age 30 and won his first ring at the best franchise in pro football. So why wouldn't you now concentrate, now that you have your money? And if I know Darrelle Revis, I believe he's invested very wisely, every dollar. You know his uncle, Sean Gilbert, his mentor, a guy who's positioned to maybe take over the NFLPA at some point or be the director. astute businessman. You don't think they have invested wisely every penny that Darrelle has made? So now it's time to concentrate on Hall of Fame legacy. You can't do it going back to the Jets. Now you just look like mercenary. Big M mercenary.
No, that's not true.
Sorry.
That's not true.
Sorry.
I specifically said, sitting across from you yesterday, that he's a mercenary if he goes anywhere but to New England or the Jets, because then you're a mercenary. But if you go back to the franchise you never wanted to leave to begin with, I specifically said roll the tape if you need to. That's exactly what I said yesterday. So my point to you is now it comes down to New England and the New York Jets. Clearly, you have an opportunity to win more Super Bowls playing with Tom Brady. We understand that. But the flip side to it, Skip Bayless, is very, very simple. When you talk about business, don't spend this man's money for him. When you say $85 million, you know what I'm thinking? Well, that's more like
40, 30.
42 and a half.
Oh, that's
you
tough.
understand? And then after that, we're gonna think about the taxes in Massachusetts or New York. Okay, only 1 year in Tampa, where there's no state income tax in Florida. All right, since you want to bring up the money and talk about his money, you want to spend his money for him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to save his money for him. So I look at it from there. But listen, I'm a proud capitalist, baby.
We know that.
I think about.
And
by the way, I got a new goal in life. I want to go away from being a W-2. I'm trying to be a 1099 someday in the future. That's what I want to do.
Let's claim it on the show today.
Here we go.
You agree?
Let's claim it. Let's claim it. Get your money.
Get your money.
Get your money.
Get your money up.
You know what? I wish we had more time to talk, but we're going to revisit this topic in our second hour, right?
Yeah, we're at the top of the hour.
Educate yourself.
The Jets were a completely different team without Revis these last two seasons.
As cheap as you are, I can't believe you're going to make that
Stephen
argument.
A. They were ranking 22nd in the league in yards per attempt and 23rd in total QBR. With Darrelle Revis, obviously no one's arguing. It's a complete upgrade.